So in the last session, we started with the basics of Python, right? According to your syllabus, as we need to move according to the syllabus, according to the points which are mentioned in the syllabus. So we were talking about Python, and as per many of your requests, so I started with the basics of Python, and in that we talked about the points like I started with the data types, data structures, and we have seen all these things, right? So till now, so if even if I go and if I try to show the last point which we have seen, uh, yeah, see, this is the recording. Let me show you what we have discussed in the last session. Okay, and I hope everyone has received all the recordings of the previous sessions. So see, let me just forward it. So I think we were done with state. This is what we have discussed about states, right? So last point which we have discussed about set. So I think till now we are done with all the basic data structures which are available in Python. This is what we have seen last time, right? How to index a dictionary, how to index a tuple, even tuples we have seen, right? How to index a list. So these are the points which we have seen in the last session. Now I will continue and try to complete all these things today. Whatever comes in the basics of Python. So till now we, we have uh, we have talked about all these things. So last time, this is what we have seen: lists, dictionaries, booleans, tuples, and sets was the last point which we have seen. Now today we will try to talk about comparison operators. Then these are some of the basic things. One example we will try to see about that. And yeah, for loop, while loop, range is something important we are going to need. This thing might be new for some of you. Functions, we will see one or two examples. Then many of people ask me about this one, this one. We will try to talk about these points, right? So this is how we are going to go. Let me complete as many topics as possible from all these things, so that at least we will be done with the basics of Python, right? So this is the file which we were trying to refer last time. I hope no one is having any difficulty till now in the sets, right? So what's a dictionary, what's a tuple, what is a set, what is a list? I hope everyone is clear. So this is the last point which we are discussing. Now comparison operators. So see, comparison operators is again nothing new. Let me go and try to talk about some of the comparison operators. So you know that greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to. All these are the same thing. I just need to. I can go and I can talk about some examples like maybe not equal to operator. So this is not equal to operator. Explanation equal to is not equal to operator. So this is going to give me false because one not equal to one is false, right? So this is not equal to operator. Like that, there are other operators also. So you could have actually, I think we have seen something like this. This is if you go and if you try to compare, this is equality operator. So obviously it is going to give me false because this Sachin and this Sachin they are different. I think we have talked about this one also. Let me just show you all the operators. See, equal to the equality operator. Equal to is the assignment operator. Okay, it's a very basic thing. Equal to is the assignment operator. It is not a comparison or equal to operator. Not equal to operators we have seen, right? Equal to, not equal to. Logical operators, if you talk about and or, always remember and is the stronger operator as compared to or. And I hope you know that, right? Maybe you might have learned truth tables, and I think you people are all of you are from electronics and telecommunication background, right? So you are very much aware about and or. So I will just leave that. Yeah. Now talking about if, else, and else. I will give simple examples here. See, syntax of if statement. So what we write down is, this is for those who are not aware about it. Okay, that's why I'm discussing syntax. So if, then we write down some condition, right? For example, if 3 greater than 2, right? And suppose if I want to do something like this, I want to print something. Okay, I want to print something like this. Okay, hello everyone, and run it. Now see, it has given me the output. So understand the syntax in Python. What we do is we use a keyword if keyword, then use a condition, right? And then we put a colon. After a colon, see, whenever I press enter after a colon, it's going to give some space here, and that is called as indentation, right? So by default, Python always makes use of indentation. This is the again basic thing about Python. This is called as indentation. So you don't have to worry about that. You may be using any other tool, maybe using some IDE. So or maybe even in case of terminal on black screen, if you are trying to execute the Python program, you will be getting some dots here, right? And that is nothing but Python actually works on the basis of indentation, and that is by default there, right? Suppose if I go here, if, and suppose if I write down something like this, true, and here suppose if I write down, or maybe I can write it down like x is equal to 3 plus 5, something like this. Let me run and let me see the value. So see, it is going to be giving me the value of x. So always remember, the basic thing is that after if, whatever the condition you are writing down, if that condition is true, then only this is going to work. Otherwise not. Why am I telling you this? Because in many of the exams, many of certification exams, you will see very simple mistakes students make. Right? That's why I understand. Basic thing is after if, whatever is there, that should be true. Then only this particular thing is going to execute. Let me show you what I am trying to tell you. See, if suppose maybe I am writing down false. Now this is not going to give me any error, right? So if I am writing down y is equal to 4 plus suppose 8, so it should give me y is equal to 12, right? Now let me check. Now see, it is saying that name y is not defined because this particular line is not executed. Why? Because this is false. What did I tell you? If and only if, when this is going to execute, if and only if this is true, otherwise not. So for example, if I would have written it like this, if some condition like maybe 3 greater than 2, so this is true, right? Instead of this one, even if I would have written something like true, so yes, in this case it's going to calculate the value of y. So y is equal to, suppose if I am writing down 4 plus 7, so now it's going to give me y as 11, right? Because the point is, this particular thing is going to execute if and only if this particular part is true. Either you write down it directly true or you write down any expression that the result of that should be true. That is the basic syntax behind if. So if and then condition and then colon. Okay, and these are the examples which are shown. Okay, so you can refer all the examples. Now, if you want to make use of some another statement, so for example, say this one. This is how you can make use of else. If else, you might be aware about this is exactly similar to other programming language. The point here, just try to remember syntax. What I have done, I have written if, then some condition, then colon. Indentation is by default there. And now whenever I am going to make use of else should be in line with this if. Try to remember. Again, it is as per your logic. Okay. So 1 greater than 2 is what? Is false. That means this particular line is for sure not going to execute. That means this is going to execute by default. So whether this is true, if it is true, if it would have been true, then this will execute. Otherwise, this will execute. So in this case, 1 greater than 2 is what? It's false. So that means else part is going to execute, and that means the output is going to be what? Last. That's why the output is last, right? So if it would have been true, right? For example, if I go here and if I try to write the same thing, if it would have been true, obviously in this case the output is going to be first because that is true. So whatever is true first, that particular statement is going to execute first, and that's why the output is first here, right? Similarly, you can go and you can use elif also. So these are the examples which are shown, right? If 1 not equal to 2, so yes, 1 is not equal to 2. So in this case, it's going to print my name instead of my surname, right? So that is the output. So that's what if and else is. Now there is something called as elif. So how to make use of elif? Again, same thing. It is just that if you want to execute multiple statements, you can make use of elif. So if 1 equal to 2, what is this? This is false. So this statement is not going to execute. Elif 3 equal to 3. So yes, it is true. That means the output of this one is going to be middle and not last. So in this case, if I go and if I try to run it, now see the output is middle. So because this particular condition is true. But if it would have been something like this, suppose if I go here, right, and maybe I am going to write down one more elif here. So you can use multiple elif. Okay, so if I am using elif 4 equal to 4, now 4 equal to 4 is also true, right? So in this case, if you want to see what is the result, maybe something like this if I am writing down. So what will be the result in this case? Whether it is first or middle or third or last. Now you can check. See, this is false, this is true, and this is also true. So I hope you might have guessed it correctly. What will be the output of this particular thing? Just I hope you people are getting whatever I am going to talk about. This is true, and this is also true. So can anyone tell me what will be the output according to you? Just, I hope everyone is getting my question. Is it middle or third or last or first? Obviously, it will not be first, right? Okay, so people are saying it's middle. So even though, yes, absolutely correct. So even though this particular condition is true, this particular condition is also true, but the condition which is true first is this one, and that's why this is going to take it. Because see what happens is once it is true, compiler not here, it is not even going to look out at all these statements, right? So that's why the output is going to be middle, right? And suppose if it would have been like this, suppose these four, then in this case the output will be third. But if it would have been like this 6, then finally the output is going to be last. Because if nothing is true, else part is going to execute. So that's how you can make the if, elif, and else. So try to understand. But see, even though it's really very easy part, but very very helpful and very very important for implementing any logic. That's what we need. Okay. Let's try to talk about for loops. So to understand for loop, so for loop actually allows you to iterate through a sequence. Now what is a sequence? Sequence is a collection of elements. For example, this one, SEQ. SEQ is a list, right? So if I go here, if I try to just print SEQ, and if I want to know the type of SEQ, so SEQ is a list here. So it's a list, right? Now what for loop can do is for loop can go and iterate through all the elements of this list. So here I have only 5 elements. You have 500 or 5000 elements, still for loop you can make use of, right? So syntax of for loop is like this: for keyword we write down, right, and then some variable I, or here we are using item, in a list, and whatever the operation you want to do, right? So, and you are aware, I could have used it like this also, right? So see, whenever I type SEQ, it has shown me everything. Suppose I want to show for keyword, for some variable I in, what is the list name, sequence name, SEQ. Also for I in SEQ, suppose I want to print the value of I, and then just run it. So it's going to show me all these things, right? Now those who have already used print kind of a function, they might be aware about some of the things like, see, here it is giving me the output in this manner, right? So it is giving me the output like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My question to you people is, I want output in this manner: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So can anyone tell me what should I do? I do not want output like this. I want output like this. So see, use of for loop, I think we have already studied. You have understood it now. Syntax I told you, right? I'm getting the answer. No, not list. Not list. Monisha, not a list. I am asking you. I am asking you that instead of this word in this vertical manner, I want output in this manner. Not a list. If it is not a list, no problem. I want output like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead of printing it vertically, you should print it horizontally. That's what I want. There might be someone who's aware about that. No, not range. Sharon, no question about range. Even we did not discuss range. Mohammad Wasif, I plus. What are you going to write down with I plus? That is not going to work. That will be converted into a string. Mohammad Wasif's written some answer. No, that will not be. That's not possible. Or at least tell me. Suppose if you are not aware about print function, I already told you, right? You go here and just press Shift Tab. Once you press Shift Tab, it is going to give you each and every help about that particular function. See, my cursor was here. Now, my cursor is on the function about which I want to know more. So my cursor is here. I will go here, press Shift Tab. Now see, it is showing me all the information. Now just try to understand what is the end character here. End character here is the slash n. I hope you people are aware about what is the slash n. Can anyone tell me what do you mean by slash n? Maybe you might have heard about this in C language, C++, or any other language. Yes, new line, Monisha, sure, absolutely right. Aman. So that is nothing but, so by default the new line character is the new line character is there by default, right? So for that ending character, by default the character is new line character, and that's why it is printing like this. So what you can do is, for some variable I in seq, what I can do is print I and comma, I can make use of end is equal to, instead of that slash n I will make use of, let's see how it works. Now see, I got it. So you might be knowing that there are certain questions, you might have seen certain questions where people are asking you uh, to print a pyramid, to draw a character, one character, right? To print a pyramid of stars. All those things are possible. All those kind of questions you can easily answer with the help of this. Suppose if, see, this ending character can be anything, okay? Means if I, even I could have uh, that particular ending character like anything, whatever you want. You know, after one, then hash hash. After two, then hash hash. Here and so on. So this is how you can actually make use of that. And talking about those questions, suppose you want to print star, right? Now see, you can see the stars. If you do not want space in between that, that's also possible, right? So you can make use of for loop, you can make use of some ready-made methods, and you can answer many questions like this. If you go and if you try to make use of the print function once again, you can even create a square, whatever the shapes you want. It all depends on your logic. So for loop and if condition is going to help you there, right? Now see, you can check it. I have printed this many number of stars, so you can go and go on printing, and you can have all those stars printed here in whatever the manner you want. I am giving you a very simple example. So our purpose is to understand the use of for loop, right? Suppose for example, if I go here for some variable a in, for some variable a in seq. Now you are aware about this one, right? Suppose what is the meaning of this? Again same thing, all elements. Suppose how many elements are there in seq? So if I go here, if I try to show you, 5 elements are there in seq. So instead of that 5, suppose I want only 3. So 0, 1 and 2, 3 elements, right? So here if I go and if I try to print the value of a, it's going to show me this one, because indexing I am using here, right? This particular part we already discussed. Now after this one, for example, suppose if maybe if I go here and try to make use of some for some variable I in seq. Now it's not like that you can print only numbers from that particular list or that from that particular sequence or collection. Even you can print whatever you want, right? Suppose here if I go and if I try to print Pune, right? So it's going to print Pune those many number of times. So 5 elements are there, so it's going to print Pune 5 times. So try to understand. This is how you can make it a for loop. For loop is really very important. Though it's a very basic thing, but let me tell you, it's really very important. So even you can go and you can write down. Suppose if I go here, right, you can do different calculations. Suppose whatever you want. Suppose I want to print this value, right? I plus I. So what it's going to do is it is going to add each and every element. So that 1 plus 1 2, 2 plus 2 4, 4 plus 4 3 plus 3 6, and so on. So you can use the for loop. It's in your hand, the way you want, right? That's about for loop. Simple example I given you. Now talking about while loop. So when do we use a while loop? Whenever you want to check for a particular condition and you want to execute something till a particular condition becomes false, right, or true, for example. So in that case, you can go and you can make use of for loop, right? So what we can do is I is equal to 1 while I less than 5. So see, while loop again, you might be knowing the functionality of this, but let me give a simple example just for understanding the syntax. So one variable we have declared I is equal to 1 while I less than 5, right? I value we have declared as 1. Now what are we doing? As I have mentioned, I value as 1. So obviously this condition is going to become true first time, right? So while I less than 1, that is 1 less than I less than 5, that is 1 less than 5, it's true. First time it is going to be true. So what it is going to do, this one I have already shown, right? This is called as format specifier, so it is just going to print. So what it is going to print, I is, instead of this curly bracket, it is going to print 1. Then I is going to be incremented, I is equal to I plus 1, then I value is going to become 2. So what's going to happen, it is going to print I is 2, then I is 3, then I is 4. In that case also this is true, and as soon as I becomes 5, so this particular condition is going to become false. As soon as it is false, this while loop is going to become, come out of this particular loop. So it's going to print what? I is 1, I is 2, I is 3, and I is 4. This is going to be the output. So the use of while loop is what? The use of while loop is that if you want to execute a particular thing again and again till a particular condition becomes false, right? In that case, you can make use of while loop. So I will give some questions once we are done with these basic things. At that time, you should be able to answer. Okay, so we will try to answer those questions here itself. Let's see. Let's see how many of you will be able to answer all these things. Right. So what it is going to print? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right. So I is 1, I is 2, I is 3, and I is 4. And try to see how am I writing down value. While is a keyword. Use any variable and then put a colon. So while and the expression you want to check and then colon. And here also Python is going to take care for the indentation. So just try to see how are we writing down the value. Right? Indentation should be there. Indentation is very, very important in Python. Otherwise, if you go here and if you try to run it like this, right? So what's going to happen? It will go into infinite loop. And I will have to go and I will have to do from here. Right? So because there is no what we can say, there is no incrementation in that case. So always I value is always going to be less, right? So that should not happen. It should be written properly. So when actually one gets all these things, or one actually becomes good in all these things, as and when you go and you try to solve more and more problems, right? I am not saying that this is very difficult thing or difficult to understand, not at all. But as per the problem statement which you want to solve, you should be able to make use of all these things, right? So practice is the only solution for that. More and more problems one should go and one should try to solve with the help of all these basic things, even though they are easy, but yes, very, very important. And now we will move to the range function. Many people were talking about range function, right? See, I will again repeat, those who are already aware about it, no problem, but there are some people who are not aware about it. Okay, that's why I'm discussing all this. Now let me tell you about range function. Range function is really very, very useful in Python. It's a generator function. It is called as a generator function. For example, now there are some points which we are going to note down for range function. So if I go and if I try to write down range of 9, if I run it, now what it has given me, range of 0 to 9. So always remember, in range function, the values always starts with 0. So try to understand, if I am saying range of 9, that means I am going to get 9 values. But starting with 0, that means from 0 to 8. Try to understand. See, as per your syllabus, in your syllabus, they have actually mentioned Python for data science as well as R for data science. So after some sessions, when I will discuss about R, in R, I will be telling you that indexing in R actually starts with 1, but indexing in Python starts with 0. So that's a difference. Many people are confused in that. Okay. So for range function, in case of range function, the first value by default for range function is going to be 0 in case of Python. Let me show you how to check that those numbers. How to and one more point. By default, the output of range function is always in terms of list. Always remember, by default, the output of a range function is always a list. This is very, very important. You will understand my point once you see some questions. See, what you need to do is, by default list means, I want to say, generally we make use of that list. That's what I wanted to see. Why? I will give some example. See, this is what I got: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my point was, it is going to start with 0 and it is going to end with 1. So 0 to 8 is 9 elements, right? So like this, you can go and even you can generate a list whatever you want. So if I go here, if I try to generate a list of 1000 elements, so it will be 0 to 999, right? This is what I am going to do. So all these elements I am going to you can actually see here, right? So till 999 will be able to see. Total 1000 elements are there, right? So like this, you can go and you can actually generate the element. So now see, for example, now if you are not aware about range function, so what you can do is go here and just press shift tab, and you will be able to see the arguments which you can make use of in case of range function. Now see, there is a start, there is a stop, and there is a step. Start, stop, and step. Right. So here always remember start, stop, and step. That means if you do not, so what was this? What was this? We did not give any starting point. We just passed a number of elements, right? But actually there are three arguments in range function. So see, what you can do is, suppose if I go and try to write down range of, now first point is going to be start, next point is going to be step, and if I run it, now see it is going to show me all the values between 10 and 20. So either I can make use of a list or a tuple here. So suppose I will make use of a list here. So list of range of 10, 20, if I go, what I will be getting is 10 to 19. You can check it. Starting point is 10 and ending point is 20 here. So this is the start and this is the stop. Okay. But one more argument is there, that is nothing but step. That is nothing but the interval. Now see, if I go here and if I try to make it as 2. So try to understand now, when you do not give any step size, first of all I will write it down like this. Remember, this is a start point, this is a stop point, and this is the interval or the step. Okay, so try to understand. Yes, Sharon, any question, Sharon? Any doubt, Sharon? Just let me know in the chat box. Okay. So start, stop, and step. Right. Now here we have given the starting point, we given the stop or the end, but we did not give any step. So always remember, by default the range, the step for the range is going to be 1. Always remember this. Okay. By default it is going to be 1. Here we have given step size 2. If you do not give step size, by default it is 1. Let me show you the result. So result will be what? 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Right? And this value will always remember. Last value is not going to be included. So you can check it. Remember it like that. So 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. That's what I'm going to do. 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Because the step size is 2. That's what we have given. Like this, you can go and you can actually get the values whatever you want. Suppose I want to know till 200 and I want to give the step size as suppose 10. So yes, I'm going to get the values like this: 10, 20, 30, 40, and so on till 190, because the step size is 10 here. So this is how you can make use of range function. I hope everyone is able to understand that. So now you can, what you can do is you can go and you can combine for loop and range function, right? And you can make it and you can implement anything whatever. So for example, like this, you can go and you can do. So earlier what I was doing, I was just trying to create a list, and then I was trying to use a for loop. So here what you can do is, for some variable I, instead of some sequence kind of a thing or list kind of a thing, what I can do is I can go and I can make use of a range function, right? So for for some I in range, suppose 20, right? So I want to execute, I want to print something. So print maybe suppose print India, right? So go here and now you will see India 20 times, right? Or you just go and print the value. You will come to know which value it is going to print. You see, it is going to print all these things, right? Even if you want it like this, 20 comma, if you want to start with 20, right? And if you want to end at 50, and it's step size of 5, yes, that's possible. Okay. 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, because the step size is like this. So try to understand. For loop is used here, range function is used like this, right? I have given a colon and then indentation is being taken care by Python itself. So you don't have to worry about indentation, but you need to take care that the necessary things should be in line. So whatever I want to run in for loop, that should be inside for loop only. It should not go outside the for loop, because otherwise it is totally going to change the logic. So try to understand. Right? That's why I'm showing you at least one example for all. And what is list comprehension? So this is some alternative. If you do not want to go with the for loop, if you do not want to increase the number of lines of code, you can make use of something like list comprehension. See, again, it is nothing new. It was already there. So what it does is it allows you to save a bunch of writing down the code when you have when you try to create a loop or a for loop to create a list. For example, see, we have we have x is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me write down x is equal to, let me create a list as 1, 2, 3, 4. This is what my x is, right? Now let's try to understand what is that comprehension list. So I am creating out is equal to empty list. So out is what? Out is the empty list. Nothing is there in output. Now I am writing down a for loop for some variable I in x. What is x? X is the list. So for that variable, now if you people remember, we already seen the different methods which we can apply on this. So append is one of the methods which we already talked about, right? So out dot append. What am I appending? So out to the empty list, to that empty list, I am appending item star star 2. What is this star star? Raised to. So I am taking 1 raised to 2, 2 raised to 2, 3 raised to 2, 4 raised to 2, and I am appending it to out. That means, and here I am printing the out. So that means the output of the output of this particular code is going to be what? 1, 4, 8, and 16. Just we are trying to take the square of that. Let me run it. 1, 4, sorry, 9 and 16. Because 3 raised to 2 is 9. Okay. Now see, what we have done is we have written a for loop. So how many number of lines of code we needed for doing this particular thing? So we needed 1, 2, 3, and 4. At least 3 to 4 lines of code we need, right? For getting this kind of output from this particular list, right? So we have used 3 or 4 lines of code. But instead of that, if you could have used something like this, number of lines of code is going to be reduced. See, what we can do is for or whatever the operation you want to do, item is just a variable, okay? Item star star 2, okay? Item star star 2 for some item in x. Now what is this? These square brackets are denoting the list, and inside that we have written some operation. So whatever the operation you want to do, write down that operation and then write down a simple for item in x. So if I go and if I try to run it, now see, I got the same output. And what I would have done is, if you want to assign it to some variable like out, the way we have done it here, you can do the same thing, right? Go here, run it once again, and you will be able to see that out is the same thing. So see, this is a simple example. So this is called as list comprehension. Right? We are just comprehending the list. Instead of writing down 3 to 4 lines of code like this with a for loop, you can write in the for loop in this way. Inside the list, inside the square brackets. And that is nothing but list comprehension. As simple as that. What is the use of this? The use of this is to just decrease the number of lines of code. Just save a bunch of lines. That's it. Nothing more than that. And obviously, so what happens is many people what they can do is, if they have already written a code, now they after some time they notice they have actually found out that okay, the number of lines of code is really very huge. So what we can do is we can make use of something like list comprehension. And there is one more thing we will talk about in this case only. That is, there is one more concept we will talk about. So these things actually help us to decrease the number of lines of code which you can go and you can make. That's what list comprehension is. I hope everyone is able to understand. Okay. Now, talking about functions. Again, function is not new thing. Function is always there in all the languages. It may be C, C++, Java, any language you talk about, R, Python. In all the languages, you will be able to see functions, right? So functions, it allows you not to write the code over and over again. So what is a function? Function is nothing but a collection of code only. But the use of function is that once so see what happens is, if you do not write down a function, what will happen? You need to write down the same lines of code again and again. With the help of function, what you can do is, once you write down a function, once you write down the code for a particular task as a function, and then you just need to call that function. That's it. You don't have to write down the function again and again. That's the use of function. How do we write down a function? Right. So I will take you a simple example. We use a def keyword in Python. Again, those who are aware about it, just have some patience. Okay. So I am talking a very basic thing here. Def keyword we use, that is define. Then we write down the name of the function. Suppose the name of my function is WP, right? And this function is accepting some argument, or maybe it might not be accepting some arguments. That's why I will not give anything here. Then we write down a colon and then press enter. As and when I press enter, now indentation is taken there by Python itself. Here, if I am writing down print, and suppose if I am writing down something like this, welcome. And now what I will do is I will go and I will run. right? Now nothing has happened. It did not show us any output. Obviously, it will not, because this is called as definition of a function. If you want to make use of that function, you need to call that function. How to call that function? Go here and call that function, right? So what I will do is, let's suppose if I go and if I try to make use of or call the function like this, let's see what happens. See, if I call it like this, it's not going to show me the output. It is going to, so writing down or calling the function, actually this is not calling the function. Okay, so writing down the name of the function in this way, it means that you are asking Python what it is. So Python is replying you that it's an object, and it's an object of the type function, which is the main function. The name of the main function is WP, right? That is the thing which Python is answering. And if I go and if I try to call it like this and then run it, let's see what it is going to return. Now it has written welcome. This is called as calling a function. Very simple, very basic, but very important. Okay, so and this function does not accept any argument, right? So suppose if you want a function which accepts the argument, yes, you could have written that. Suppose if I go and if I try to write on WPU1, this is another name of the function. Now suppose I want this function to accept some argument. Suppose if it accepts some argument as name is a variable. I will go here and I will try to print that particular name and run it. Now again, this is definition. Now to call this particular function WPU1, what I need to do is I need to pass argument to this, right? So what I will do is I will pass this particular argument, or maybe as we are given the variable name as name, so I will pass this argument as a this particular string as an argument to this particular WPU1. Now what WPU1 is doing? So see, it means what? As this is called as calling a function. That means this Sachin value will be assigned to name variable. That means name is equal to Sachin. And what are we doing? We are printing that name. So it is just going to print Sachin. This is what is going to happen. Okay. I hope you are able to understand it. That is called as function with a parameter, right? So suppose if I go and if I try to run the same function WPU1 without any argument, in this case it's going to give me error, right? This function did not give error even when we did not pass any argument to this. But in this case, for WP1, it will give me error because it is expecting one argument and I am not providing any argument. So in this case, definitely it will give me error. See, now see, WPU1 missing one required position argument name. So I am not giving it, and that's why it is giving me error. So I should have given the argument. But still, I want to run the same function without giving the argument. What I can do then in that case is, I can write down the same function. Let me write it down here in this cell with some default value. So what I will do is, I will give some default value to this particular variable. Suppose maybe if user does not provide any argument, it should print India. Now let me run this WPU2, right? Let me run this here, and now let me call this particular function without any argument. Still it will print, it will not give me error. I can call it like this also, WPU2, and if I go and if I try to give some argument, maybe suppose Sachin, right, and if I run it, in this case it will not give me any error. Because see, what's going to happen is this Sachin is going to override this particular thing, right? This is called as default parameter. Okay, if user does not provide any argument but still I want to run it, now then in this case you should have given some default value to the variable, right? If you now, so what did I tell you? In this case, as we are given some value as an argument, so this value is going to override this value, and now name is going to become Sachin and it is going to print the name. And in this case, we did not give any argument, so by default the value it has taken as India and it has printed the result. I hope you are able to understand that. That's what is explained here in this function, in those notes. And let me tell you one more thing. Suppose if I go and if I try to write down a function, so always make it a habit that whatever the functions you are writing down, for those functions you should give some help. For example, see, whenever, see, I told you that suppose if you are not aware about any function in Python, suppose you are not aware about range functions, what you can do is go here and press shift tab. So you are able to see all these kind of values. Why are you able to see all these kind of values? Because range is the default function available in Python. It is the default function, right? But the function which we are trying to define are the user defined functions. What I want is if someone comes and if someone wants to understand what is this WPU2 function doing. So I also want if someone comes and if someone puts the cursor here and presses shift tab, I also want him to see the same kind of error. What you can do is, in that case, you can make use of something called as triple comment. That is called as docstring. See, I will give triple comment here. Single quote, single quote, single quote, 6 times and write it down like this. Or otherwise it can be double quote, single 3 times. That's also possible. Okay, so see, that means do some information of this function. This function, suppose title something like this. This function prints whatever that function is doing, right? This function prints India as a default out, something like this, or this is written in whatever information you want. Okay, this accept this number of arguments and so on, whatever you want. Now see, I will run this. Now if you go and if you type WPU2, right, and you go here and press shift tab, now see, you'll be able to see same kind of thing. This is called as docstring. This is the way you can create docstring for your function, right? Instead of this, so this is called as triple quotes. Okay, whenever you want to have multiple comments in Python, you make use of triple quotes. Instead of this, if you could have written it like this, double quotes, double quotes, double quotes. This is also no problem. This is also, let me delete this. Okay, and whatever the comments you want, those should be in triple quotes. So this will also do, no problem. So 6 times or triple quotes it is called as. Triple quotes are can be used. Triple quotes can be used whenever you want to have multiple comments. So again, this is also very helpful many times, because what happens is, suppose if you are working in a company and if you are suppose you are going to join a new job. So in your previous company, whatever the work you have, you should complete it thoroughly, right? And obviously there will be a next person who is going to join instead of you. So when another person is going to read your code, so he or she should also be able to understand whatever you have written. This docstring kind of a thing is really very helpful, and it's a good practice. It's a good practice of this kind of a docstring kind of, right? So that's why I'm trying to tell you. So in functions, definitely you can make use of that, at least for user different functions. So this is what is mentioned here, whatever I talked about. Right? So different examples of functions are shown. I hope everyone is able to understand. Same thing, but with different examples. Same thing is shown. Nothing new. So see, this is the use of a docstring which is shown. Right? So I already told you, if you want to access all these notes, just go and check in the description of the videos. In the coming videos, definitely you will be able to get all these notes on my YouTube channel. Below the video, you will see a link. Just go and download from there. Okay, now let's try to see Lambda expression. So many people were asking about this Lambda expression. So let's see what is this Lambda expression. Again, let me tell you, Lambda expression itself is a separate topic. You will see that you might have heard about something called as AWS, Amazon Web Services. So in Amazon company, you will see many people whose job is just to write down the Lambda expression. That's it. Their job is just to write down Lambda expressions. Let me tell you the use of Lambda expressions. Lambda expressions actually help you to decrease the number of lines of code. That means to increase the speed. How? Let's try to see that. So instead of writing down the functions, what you can do is you can go and you can make use of something called as Lambda expressions. For example, this function. What this function is doing? This is calculating. This is multiplying a number with 2. Right. So times 2 is a function. Whatever the name you want, you could have given. Okay. So here I have given times 2 as a name. So what this function is doing? It is accepting some variable, and to that variable it is multiplying with 2. Final result, whatever you are going to get is number multiplied by 2. Let me run it. See. Now if I go and if I apply times 2 function on any variable, suppose on 8, so result should be what? 60, because this function is returning what? Variable into 2. So this is what? This is the function we have written. Now same thing I can do with the help of Lambda expression. How? See, this is how we write down the Lambda expression. We use a keyword called as lambda lambda, this is a keyword. Then we use a variable, whatever the variable you want, you can make use of. Suppose x variable, then put a colon, and after colon, always remember we write down the operation which we want to do. So which operation we want to do here? We want to multiply the variable with 2. So x multiplied by 2. That's it. That's what lambda expression is. This is called as lambda expression. So if I go and if I try to run it, now see, again it is going to show me that it's an object of the type function. So lambda expression many times, why it is showing as a function? Because lambda expression is actually one type of a function only, and it is called as anonymous function. Always remember. Anonymous means what? Anonymous function means a function without name. So lambda expression is a function without name. That is called as lambda expression. Okay? Anonymous function. Lambda expression is called as anonymous function, and that is nothing but a function without a name. I hope everyone will remember that. Okay. Now see, this is what lambda expression is. Right. Now what I can do is I can go and I can assign this particular lambda expression to some variable. So I will write down it once again. It will be lambda x colon x multiplied by 2. Run it. Now if I go and if I try to apply it to some variable here, now you see we will get the result. So instead of writing down a function, you can write down only the lambda expression like this, right? So many times it is good to use lambda expressions, but again it also requires practice. That's what lambda expression is. So whether it's a numerical operation, whether it's the operation on the strings, whatever it may be, you can easily make use of lambda expressions there. Right? So this is how lambda expression is going to work. Now I have shown you a lot of examples here for lambda expressions. You can check it. Right? All these things in exercise I think they are given, so you'll be able to see that. Okay. So if you want to print the memory location of the lambda expression, you can just go and print that particular variable. So whatever you are able to see here. In my case, lambda expression I named it as A. So you can go and you can see the memory location of your lambda expression. This is a hexadecimal value, right? You know what is hexadecimal number. Can we access x variable in that lambda expression? Sharon is asking. So see, Sharon, x itself is a variable. If you want to go and try to see, in this case, what will be the value of x? So if you go and if you try to see it like this, see, what will be the value of x? 1, 2, 3, 4 here. It is not this x. This is a temporary variable. Sharon, what's going to happen is, whenever I run it like this, a of 8, so x is assigned as 8, right? But still, if you want to assign it, then you will have to write down a custom code. You might make use of for loop, right? Yes. You can even take a float also. No problem, Sharon. But I think it answers your question. You are asking that can we access x variable? Yes. Yeah. Okay, I hope it's clear. So yeah, that even I told you, even it can be a string, right? That is possible. So that's what lambda expression is. And let me tell you, if you people remember, I told you about strings, right? Suppose I have a variable like this. Suppose I have a variable string variable. Now in that string variable, I am writing down something like this. Hello everyone. Okay, try to understand. Better we want to discuss. Hello everyone. Or let me give comma here. Hello everyone. We are learning maybe Python. Let me give a comma here. All of you will. Let me give one more comma. All of you will learn 8. Let me give one more comma. Let me give a hash here. Okay, let me do something like this and by something like this. Now this is what my string is. Okay, this is what s is. Now see, s dot tab button. I told you. So this is how you can go and you can choose the method. Out of this, we are going to require one method that is called as split. This is something important. So split method, always remember, split method by default splits on space character. Always remember, split method by default splits on space character. See, if I go and if I try to run s like this, so if I try to split s, so it is going to split this s string on the basis of space character. That means I am going to get the output in terms of list, and that list will be having 1, 2, that is 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I think 12 elements will be there in the list. Always remember the output of split function is, or split method is always a list. Now see what it has done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 elements I got. Why? Because by default, always remember, I will again repeat, by default, split function always splits on the basis of space character, and the output is always in terms of list. Okay, that is one thing. Suppose if you want to split this particular string on another character, for example, comma, what I can do is s dot split and then go and then do that splitting character and then run. Now it is going to give us these elements 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think 5 elements you are going to get for this. Now see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 elements. Because in this case we split it on the basis of which character? Comma. You could use any character. Even you can go and even you can use any alphabet out of it. Suppose on the basis of A I want to split. So on the basis of A it is going to split that particular split. Right? Remember this, we are going to require split. 2 points to remember about split. Split by default splits on the basis of space character, and it makes use of and it gives the output in terms of list. Okay, these 2 points you remember, we are going to require that. Okay, so that's what the lambda expression is I wanted to talk about. Now the last point I think remember which is remaining is map and filter only. Methods we are already seen. Okay, the only point which is remaining from basics Python is map and filter. So maybe we will discuss it in a coming session. Okay, so that's it from my side today. I will stop here. So remaining points we will discuss in the next session.